Hey, David, how's it going?
Hi, Rachel. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here after, a year in
Y-
Amsterdam?
Yeah, we met 1 year ago at Apex in Amsterdam, which was an amazing event.
Exactly. Well, the following one was even more amazing than the previous one.
Yeah.
Amsterdam is always a great place to hang out.
I agree.
And so much has happened. It feels like it was a lifetime ago.
I know. Time goes by fast, but yeah. So, David, for our listeners that don't know who you are and what you do, could you maybe give them a brief introduction about yourself and your role at XRPL Commons?
Oh, my pleasure. So I initiated XRPL Commons. It's a nonprofit that is based in Paris, but operates on a global scale. And our role really is to support the ecosystem, nurture the sense of belonging to the XRPL community, and empower developers and builders so they can grow companies, hopefully sustainable companies with paying customers that will create opportunities for developers to join. So we want to grow the ecosystem in a very organic way, and we've been doing that for a year and a half now. So a lot of our ideas and hypotheses are now validated, and we're trying to grow more and more now. What we're doing, scaling our operations. And so we are a team of 15 people now, and we're doing a bit of learning with universities, training for developers, incubation for startups, pre-ID startups, and we care a lot about the relationships that we build with different builders.
Got it. Okay. No, I mean, it's super important. Every blockchain ecosystem should actually have something like XRPL Commons. But you saw the need to start it a year and a half ago and this is for builders building on the XRP Ledger, correct?
Absolutely. On the XRP Ledger and in the XRPL ecosystem. So the XRPL ecosystem is growing now in a way that is cross-chain. And so we care deeply about the XRPL itself, the protocol, the validators, the network, all the people who are providing time, resources, infrastructure, knowledge in the XRPL world. But now we have connected blockchains. We can call them sidechains, L2s, forks, whatever. But it's a community of people who have been doing radical innovation, bringing more features to the XRPL by adding either a chain or a tool or a product that enhance the global experience on the XRPL. So we have a very holistic approach to the community, and I don't think that anyone only belongs to one community. First, you belong to the blockchain community. And so as a Web3 developer, why not experiencing different technologies? It would be weird not to. So we focus on people of goodwill. And we really, what I mean by nurturing the sense of belonging is we try to offer different kind of experiences that really impact people's life. So for instance, we have this residency, it's called the Aquarium. I think you met some of the residents later. So we invite people from all over the world to apply for this program. It's a 3 months long program, and we operate it like an art residency. So we invite the builders, we host them, we fly them, and we give them a little stipend so they can live in Paris. So we can invite people from all over the world, not just French people or people from Paris. We really extended the program to at a global scale. So we have people from India, from China, from Mexico, from Peru. It's a global program. And we know for a fact that Paris is an expensive city. No one coming from a country where the lifestyle, the level of life is less expensive could afford it to be in Paris for 3 months. So we knew we had to invite them. So they are our guests for 3 months. And the only thing we ask is full participation, full dedication to the programs. They don't have to work on the side because they're invited. And they can focus for 3 months on building a product. So some of them come with an ID, some of them come with a product, but at the end of the 3 months, we host a demo day. We invite VCs, we invite people from the community to help elevate these projects that hopefully will turn into sustainable startups.
Wow. Okay. I love that. Now, my question is, before XRPL Commons was started by you, what was the problem that you saw that you wanted? I mean, I can kind of guess the answer, but I want you to answer this. What was the problem you saw that you wanted to solve with XRPL Commons?
Yeah. So a while ago, a few years ago, I was living in the US, and I realized that technology was not doing its best to solve some of the major issues we were facing. So I was in the Silicon Valley, and there was a lot of introspection at the time with Cambridge Analytica and some things that happened that really woke up the whole Silicon Valley like, oh, okay, we need to do better. And I started to dig into blockchain. I realized that blockchain could be used to solve what I call the global crisis of trust. So it's been for maybe 20, 25 years, this massive crisis of trust towards institutions, whether financial institutions, public institutions, governing institutions, media, politics. And so we have to come with a solution. Maybe technology can help. And at that time, I figured that blockchain was probably the best technology to help solve that global crisis of trust. So I started digging, and I exposed myself to many technologies. Learned how to develop on Solidity. Had a few experiments on Tezos. Did a few things with Cardano, and at some point, I really began to be interested in sustainability. Some blockchains were marketed as green blockchains, but there was no data to back it up. And the more I was studying it, and the more my studies converged toward the XRP Ledger, because it has a different consensus that requires really, really little power. And so that's what got me intrigued into XRP Ledger. And then I met people from the community, and I started with this idea of getting developers together. So it really started as a hacker house. That was my initial pitch. Okay, let's put people together and try to solve one case using the technology. And then that grew into something way more ambitious, as I saw that to get people in that room, you need first to train them. You need to have a support system that will empower people, give them access to knowledge. And you can do that yourself, and how many people can I train in a year? Maybe 100, 200s. But if you empower teachers, then you start to have an impact on a global scale. So we had this whole approach to education where we teach teachers. We provide them with all the open source material that they need to teach blockchain, and then specifically the XRP Ledger, because it is a great tool to learn. When you're a new developer, you can code on XRP Ledger with any programming language. So if you're a Python developer, you can start coding in Python. If you're a JavaScript developer, you have a library for that. Because XRPL has been around for 12 years, we had the time to develop most of the SDKs and libraries. So if you know any modern language, you can learn developing on the XRPL. So teachers love it, students love it, and really what we saw is it's very empowering for them to start coding right away. You have to learn the basics and the concepts of blockchain, but once you have that, it's still very blurry, very conceptual. So when we do these trainings, for instance, that we host in Paris, every other month we have a training for 50 people. It's a free training for developers. And so they come with either a previous experience in blockchain, they know Ethereum, they know other chains, they have experience with others, or they know nothing about blockchain. So we need to level the knowledge of everyone on what's blockchain, but then very fast they can engage with the technology itself and start coding. And within a couple of hours, they have their first transactions put on chain. They can create objects that live on chain, and they realize that, that's actually very doable and very easy. So when they come with previous experience from other chains, they realize that what they do on other chains takes a tenth of the time on the XRPL. That for us, that was the promise. And then we in a year we trained more than 500 people. So we realized that this is something that people want. We're trying to scale that to an even bigger scale.
Yeah. No, this is amazing. I mean, I knew about XRPL Commons because we met last year at Apex. But now I'm thinking, like, how cool would it be for me to even go to one of the free training sessions? Because as a journalist in the industry, I don't know how to code. I'm not hands-on really. I just interview people and I write these stories. But to actually have that experience would actually help everybody in the industry, I think, better understand the technology. So that's really cool.
And I think it comes from a frustration that people talk about the technology a lot, but they don't really grasp the full thing. So we have developed some trainings specifically for people who are not technical to give them a sense of how it operates, how a validator works, how the network works. And we've done them internally. We have a team of 15. Not all of them are technical. And so we started from the basic, like how does a computer works, how the network works, how internet works really. So if you understand that, it makes it way easier to understand how the blockchain works, because it stands on underlying concepts that are very technical, but have been around for many years. Our goal is to make it so easy so that you don't even have to think about it when you use the blockchain. So today everyone uses internet through a smartphone, but no one has to understand how packets are being transmitted from a browser to a server. It's not interesting for users. But for anyone who really wants to talk about the scaling of an app or anything like that, you have to understand the underlying concept. So we know we're addressing different personas, different audiences, and we crafted all the material so that if you're a developer, you will jump right into it. If you're not technical, you will first learn the basic and then learn the concept. You don't really have to become a developer to work with blockchain. Hopefully everyone can use the blockchain someday without having any technical skills. That's our goal. For that, it will not come from us, from Commons. It will come from developers and builders, entrepreneurs who will understand the need for a product that will use blockchain as a part of their technical stack, and they will basically abstract away from the blockchain. They will make the services super easy to use, the experience very easy to onboard, and that's how we're going to grow the pie.
Let's talk about some examples of that, and that you're also seeing now with the teams that you're educating and growing at the aquarium.
I can give you some examples. A great example from the last cohort, which was focusing on decentralized identity. It's a platform called Ushi. So what Ushi is doing, it's providing a tool for clinical trial and abstract all the consent part. So it decentralizes the consent part, anonymizes the consent part, and then when the labs need to pay the people who are enrolled in the trials, they just send a payment through the XRPL. So let's say all the technical part is totally abstracted by the app itself. The patients, they don't even know there's blockchain involved. Their account is abstracted, the payment is abstracted. They can decide to keep the payment for themselves, or they can decide to support other patients with what they received from the labs. And it's a perfect use case. When you look at that, it solves for all the complexity of getting consent, and you have to renew the consent when you're part of a trial. It keeps everything anonymous, and the payment can be done very easily without the user having to worry about where it's stored. So that's one of the great examples we have at the residency. I can talk about others like Econavi. It's a platform that helps farmers in Brazil to map. First, what they do, they map farms where they teach farmers how to use modern technology to capture the value that they will create on the long term. So biodiversity, for instance, carbon credit, carbon capture. This is something that the farmers don't have access to today, but still they generate that value. So with Econavi, they're able to capture that value and monetize it. So using blockchain to empower people without making it a complex things to onboard.
Right. Yeah. Because I'm assuming when these apps are ready to go and being used in the real world, people like the farmers don't even know that there's blockchain involved. It's just easy for them to use, but blockchain is making it work.
They don't have to know about blockchain at all. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. And then, the like any other startups, then they have a product, they need to market it. They need to find their market. So that's when, the hard part comes. We're making the process for them to build as easy as we can. And then they have to test it against the market. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing that for now exactly a year. And we have about 40 people who came to our residency. 27 projects were launched. 22 are still active. I think 3 have raised money already. Mm-hmm. So we see that we can do better for sure, but we have more and more applicants. So in the first one, we had 12 seats and had 20 applications. And the last one, we had 12 seats and had more than 100 applications.
Wow, that's
so,
amazing.
Yeah, we see that the programs are starting to be known. XRPL Commons starting also to have this aura in the community that people understand what we do. They trust that what we do with our heart, we do for the community, which is not obvious in the blockchain space, by the way. There are a lot of providers, service providers, structures to empower people, but at the end of the day, do they really serve their audience? You have to prove yourself. So this year, this is really what we tried to do. Prove that our intentions were really dedicated towards the community, that we bring substance. I don't claim that I'm an expert in everything. So a lot of topics, we invite experts from the community to cover them. Last example, we invited the team of Palisade to come to Paris to give a workshop about custody.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, and so they're like real experts of custody.
Right,
we're using the product, but I'm not the expert of custody.
Right.
We've done the same with the AMM. We brought people who worked on the AMM. We did the same with DeFi recently. We had one of our residents gave a lecture. Is building Anodos. It's a DeFi protocol on the XRPL, and so they're the one we're actually building. They're the one who are closer to the market needs, and they're the one who knows better what the audience need to learn. Right. So a lot of what we do is we create an opportunity for someone in the community, and then we invite them to jump in.
Right. Okay, so you said something interesting that I want to ask you about. Finding product market fit for blockchain projects. And I feel like a lot of blockchain projects struggle with this. Some advice on how you can find product market fit for blockchain projects. How do you help these teams find it?
So there's a lot of theory about that. There are many books that have been written about it. So my take on that is do not start with the technology. Start with the customer. Start with the need. How can you improve someone's life? How can you improve a company's process? How can you make a company's process be more efficient or cost less? Create a value proposition that is not based on the technology, but based on how efficiently you're going to solve something. If it uses blockchain, then we want to support you, of course. But if there's no case for your product, if it's just like, hey, I'm using XRPL, but I don't really know what I'm doing with it, then I'm interested in helping you learn. In getting you more mature in your product discovery, but you need to come with a real problem. This is also why we invite people who are not from Europe or not from Paris in particular, because some people in, let's say in Mexico, for instance, the local currency has devalued many times. So they're facing a real issue that we're not facing in Europe because the euro is still strong. Some people we have someone from Nigeria right now. The financial and the payment infrastructure in Nigeria is not super stable. It's hard to get money out of the country. There are some countries with very specific problems. So if you come with a solution for these problems and you're using the XRPL, we want to support you 1,000,000% because you have a real use case, a real business case. And what we can help do is execute in the best possible way. Find the best experts who can help you. Find the best mentors. Find the VCs that will be interested in investing in your company because you're solving a real world use case. So that's been our philosophy. I'm really committed to stick to it, and we're trying to help in different ways. So we're trying to help by being smart in the way we connect people. We travel a lot. We meet a lot of people, and sometimes we'll meet someone in Estonia who should meet someone in the UK. They don't even know they exist, but since we met both, we intentionally do these connections that will maybe trigger a conversation for a contract or a partnership, or we'll be working together on something. And so that's the way we've done it this year, and for the coming years, what we're trying to do is elevate the people who are building so they can be more visible, they can have a better reach in the community, and then get the help they need from the community directly, or the good opportunities from someone in the community. I certainly don't know everyone. And so creating this stage for the projects and for the entrepreneurs I think for us is the best way to create these connections without having us to be in the middle.
How long, and maybe you already said this, how long do the people stay in the cohort?
It's a 3 month program.
3 months, okay.
But it's really, I would say, and you can challenge that with all the previous residents, but I think it's a life-changing experience when you spend 3 months with peers who are like highly motivated, that you're building eventually your lifetime startups. People are then committed to the community for a very long time. So some of them will not stick around, and that's fine. But some of them will not only stick around, but they will help the others. Yeah. So what we see is the people from the first cohort have been helping the second cohort. And then we were growing this community of alumni. And hopefully, that will grow and grow. What I would love to see is a replica of this program somewhere else. Because in Paris, we can only host a certain number of people, but maybe we'll find a partner somewhere. Not disclosing anything here, but I heard that the Japanese community is getting together around an association. We really want to help them. We want to give them our playbook, help them build the same if they're interested in doing so. The long-term vision, for a healthy ecosystem is that it is decentralized. So my vision from day one was providing everything open source and let anyone who is interested, because it requires a lot of energy. And to be honest, it's not only material resources and money, it's also a lot of dedication and energy. So people who are interested in doing the same in their own way, I'm willing to share everything we've done so far and also share the learnings, because I think you can start from where we are today and not where we were a year ago.
Right. San Francisco would obviously be perfect for this because, I live in the Bay Area and there's so many builders. I mean, that's the majority of the blockchain people in the Bay Area. They're the builders, they're the developers. You don't see a lot of the NFT artists or the financial, but it's people building. So I think that XRPL Commons would be great there. If you need help, maybe I can help out. But I do see it being successful there. And I do think you have a point where expanding out of Paris would be really great, especially in Asia.
Yes,
as well.
Asia is calling for sure. The market is booming. The number of active wallets in Asia is growing. Number of transactions in Asia is growing. As far as I lived in San Francisco for a while, I love the city. I would go back gladly. But I think Ripple has a strong presence in the U.S., in New York, and in San Francisco. So I would not overlap with where Ripple is, because they're also very influential in the ecosystem, but more explore geographies where there are startups, but not community to support.
Right. Quick question. So what is the difference between Ripple and XRPL Commons, and how are these related?
Very simple. So Ripple was the initiator of the XRP Ledger, the protocol, 12 years ago. And XRPL Commons is a non-profit. So we're supported by Ripple. We work a lot with the Ripple X team. We meet on a lot of events. We share a lot of opportunities. Sometimes, there are people who are closer to Ripple in their product. So, Ripple is developing this bridge between traditional finance and decentralized finance. So when we see someone in the ecosystem who can benefit from Ripple's help, we'll push them towards Ripple. And a lot of incoming call we got are from people recommended by Ripple to us. So we work as partners, but we're very independent. We have a board that is fully independent. No one's from Ripple in our board. And then, every once in a while we meet in international conferences. We try to help as much as we can with Apex, which is the yearly gathering of all the community. So we really appreciate their support, their help. And I think, the vision for the coming years is we're going to go where no one has gone before with the support of Ripple. But Ripple is going to focus more and more on their products, still supporting the XRPL. And, so there's if we can dive into that, there's some news about the governance of the protocol that have been discussed already, but I can also summarize a few things about it. So there was a foundation that started around 2020 and that was supported by Ripple initially. And this foundation moved on to addressing very specific use cases with the Global South. So that left a void in the communities. So we're building with Ripple, but also with amazing folks from XRPL Labs and a DAO that is being formed in Australia, a new foundation. And this foundation for now is really the very bottom part of it. We're trying to create an entity that will empower anyone who wants to join and participate to the governance. So the way we're doing it is right now we're in the process of incorporating a new entity. It's going to get some funds, not billions, but it's going to get some funds to operate. It's going to grow a little team, and then we want people to participate to working groups. So this foundation will be fully independent, have a board of directors, Ripple, Commons, Labs. The DAO will be part of this first founding members, but then more people, more entities from the community will join the board of directors. And then each committee will operate independently. So a committee for core development, a committee for UNL publishing. So on the XRPL, there is a default UNL that is published today by the foundation, the former foundation. This committee will be in charge of evaluating validators for them to be part of the future default UNL. Compliance, regulation, there's going to be a committee for that. So whoever in the community wants to participate will be invited to join. Some of them are already doing that, by the way. What we're just doing is creating a framework for the people who are already doing the work to be recognized and have a title, have a well-made nonprofit that will hopefully scale with the help of everyone. Right. But yes, so far, we've announced very little things about it because we were in many conversations. And now I think we're getting closer to the days we can actually communicate. So not that we're hiding anything, but we had to do this core process of deciding, where will it be incorporated, how, what will it look like, who are the first members, and how do we decide to onboard new members. And the vision I have for this new entity is that it will be operating fully by the community. Right now, we're just giving the first impulse, so then it can roll on its own.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you spoke about that here on the podcast, and I'd love to further learn about it and report on it when you're ready.
Absolutely. We're going to communicate. There's going to be joint communication. But I'm glad I have this stage to share more, because really we're not. I don't think I'm a particularly good communicator, but this is a process that we want to expose to everyone. And I've had many conversations, one-to-one conversations with people in the community to explain what is being done. And then we, as a corporation or as a more corporate entity, we need a proper structured communication, and that will come in time, probably in the weeks to come.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. Thank you for mentioning it.
Thank you. Well, yeah. Thank you for giving me the stage to
anytime, David. You're always welcome on the podcast, Thanks. Especially when we film in Paris in this cool basement type situation we're in. I know we're out of time. You're a really busy person. You've got things to do. So we're going to kind of do some final thoughts. And I also want you to tell our audience how they can be in touch with you, or how they can learn more about XRPL Commons and do the free training and cool stuff.
So we have a website, xrpl-commons.org, where all information are and all the applications forms are. Hopefully everything is well explained there. We're also on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter a lot. I've been called out for that a lot. But our team is on Twitter, and we have emails that we read on a regular basis.
And Instagram, because I communicate with your team on Instagram, which I think it's just XRPL Commons, and then you can find on Instagram.
Yes. Yeah. But bottom line is we're very open to the community. So if you have an idea, if you are interested in one of the programs, if you cannot make it to Paris but are still interested in getting in touch, again, we operate on a global scale. Everything we do in Paris, we record, so then it can be provided on either YouTube or any other form. We know that it's hard for people to come to Paris. The reason why we're in Paris, and I will maybe close on that,
Sure.
Was an intuition that Europe was doing good in terms of providing clarity to entrepreneurs. With MiCA coming into place, so it's a very step-by-step process in the implementation of MiCA. But now we have MiCA for stablecoins. By the end of the year, we'll have MiCA for other tokens. France, I think, has really been at the forefront of providing clarity and a solid regulation framework. Now it's going to be Europe. The president of the Public Bank of Investment in France has said a few months ago that they were going to support all the blockchain startups that were starting in Paris or in France, sorry. And so that just comforted me in this idea that France was a good place to build blockchain products. So we're very excited for the year to come. And hopefully next year we'll have another chat here in this very cool studio, giving you updates. But know that you are always welcome in Paris.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, David.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Rachel. See you soon.
Thank you. Okay, great. Okay, cool.
Okay, good.
One more
Okay.
thing after.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you, David.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks.
And can you do for me again the hello David, because I cut.
Oh,
and came
yeah,
back,
sure.
and you
Yeah, I'll
cut
just say
again.
hello, David.
Hello
Hello.
David once like this, and after I.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Okay. Hi, David. How's it going?
Really good. Thank you, Rachel.
Great.
Do it again. Okay.
Hey, David. How's it going? Good?
Okay.
Okay, great. And we'll do the intro.
Yeah.
Before you go, can you get a quick picture of us together
course.
with my